All right, Bulls and Bears, we're back with another dose. There's a lot of directions we can go today with today's video. A lot happening right now. The U.S. just attacked Iran, but I want to kind of just bring it down to the economic level, personal finance level, and just hear from some people that are really struggling right now with the costs. And I've on this channel, I've tied in many times how escalating wars have a lot to do with the economic situation. And I think how the powers that be are trying to cover things up because they're failing at helping people with the lower cost of living. And I think that's one of the big reasons for the war. So I'll let you dig into that. It's on every news channel, so I won't dig in too much to it. But let's go ahead and hear from some people that are just talking about life. And we're going to hear from some younger people today because I always like to hear people that are just maybe graduating high school, college, whatever, just people under 30. And I did find a statistic here that's pretty interesting before we hear from some individuals here. The home ownership rate, and I looked this up here, for people under 35 is about 36%. So about 1 in 3 people actually are home owners, and many of them have a mortgage, so they technically don't own it outright. But if you have a mortgage, they're still labeling you as a home owner. But according to an Eye on Housing study, it's so much worse now for people even a few years younger. For those under 30, it's even lower. A Lending Tree study found that only 3.1% of Americans younger than 30 have a mortgage in the 50 largest U.S. metros. Now that says have a mortgage. So maybe there's some people that own a home cash that are under 30. I would have to think they were some sort of already wealthy type of people to own a home without having a mortgage under 30. Or amazing investors, stuff like that. But outside of those very small, group of people, which I think is just probably in the top 10%, it's 3.1% own a home under 30, folks. That is pitiful here. But let's hear from some people just talking about the cost of living, how they're feeling about it, what they're doing about it, just some thoughts in general here. All right, first of all, here's this. I'm going to play this without the sound. And it's just talking about a decade ago and what they're talking about. We had 24-hour Walmarts, dollar cheeseburgers, dollar large drinks, $25 full tank of gas, 2-bedroom apartment cost $1,200. Now, the 24-hour Walmarts, I actually had one probably within about 5 miles of me. And ever since 2020, ever since the health crisis, it's no longer 24 hours. It's like some stores never went back to being 24 hours after they stopped being 24 hours. I thought initially it was because of theft, because many people maybe shoplift at night. I'm not sure, but what are your thoughts on that? I'm not sure why that happened, but yeah, dollar double cheeseburgers. You don't see a dollar menu anymore. It's like the cheapest thing on the menu I've seen now. A lot of these fast food places is like $1.99. Dollar large drinks. Maybe I'm wrong though. I mean, is it Taco Bell that still has a dollar menu? Maybe not. Maybe so. Dollar large drinks. I wouldn't know. I haven't bought a large drink from a fast food place in a while. $25 full tank of gas. So if the average gas tank's about 16 gallons, yeah, I guess that would have been possible 10 years ago. 2-bedroom apartment, $1,200. What happened? Well, they kept the cost of living was blown into the stratosphere because of 2020 really made it take off. But even before that, prices were going up for over 15 years now. We've seen home prices go up, rents go up. We're starting to see a slowdown in some areas and a correction in other areas in housing and rents both. So it's going to be interesting to see how 2025 plays out. But absolutely, nice video, asking those questions. All right, here's another person. She sounds like she's from Britain. And audio's a little bit low. I'm going to just read the subtitles here.
I don't know about you, but I don't really fancy eating cold baked beans out of.
She says she doesn't like eating cold baked beans.
Tin in my dark, damp flat next to a non-functional radiator at the age of 85 after I worked my entire
non-functional radiator
for my entire life. The majority of people in the
after she works a lot.
UK. That is the reality of the situation, and I actually don't think that it's dawned on us. Like, look at the people now. Like, the pensioners now are struggling now, and these are not just people who are like
pensioners are struggling
on benefits or scrap. No, these are people who work. They have worked their lives, and they don't have enough.
She has a California shirt on, and she's British.
to make ends meet. They're struggling. You don't have a choice in like taking control of your own financial situation right now. You don't have a choice. You have to do it, because if you don't, you're going to be starving too. We all need to stand, because of the way it's going,
we all need to stand.
That 1% are taking all of our money, is funneling all the
1% taking all the money. Sounds familiar. The wealth transfer, we've been talking about that for years here.
way up into the business.
Funneling all the money to the top. Every time you spend money, it typically goes to a large company, which ends up at the top, mostly because they're not paying people the wages that they need to pay people to keep up. So then it just snowballs.
Businesses that we buy into the taxes that the government take, it's all being taken away from us. But because we're not doing the same things with our money that they are, the money is not funneling back down. We are having it all siphoned away from us, and it's going to come to a point where we are all commodities. We're all just slaves, essentially,
We're all
just to
commodity.
survive. Anyway, this video isn't to terrify you. It's just to kind of document what I'm doing, because I'm aware of the situation and I don't want to be in that situation.
Sorry if the audio is too low. It's a very low audio recorded clip here, but all the text is on the screen. So if you're not looking at the screen, maybe check it out.
So I'm going to be figuring out what these people do, and so I can set myself up financially for the future as an ordinary person on an average salary. So if you're interested and you want to do the same.
She wants to figure something out. I mean, the thing that I see most people talking about, and I've talked about it here several times, is the solution that people come up with is work harder. Some people say work smarter, not harder, have multiple streams of income. Folks, there's only so many hours in a day. And when you start working so much, I mean, then you start taking time away from the things you like to do, your hobbies, things that make you happy. And then you end up miserable. I mean, unless you find a stream of income that's something that you really love doing, like if you're a musician, if you write songs, then obviously that's probably something you like to do. Hopefully you're making money off of it. But whatever you do for fun, find a way to monetize it. I remember I was designing t-shirts a few years ago just for myself. And then I found out there's websites you can actually design shirts and put them up there. I've got shirts across the internet, like 7 different websites I'm selling shirts on right now. And it's not a lot, but it is money that just comes in without me doing anything now. Because basically once they're designed, once they're out there for sale, then every month I see sometimes 5, sometimes as much as 15 or 20 shirts that I've sold. And, you know, it's not a lot, but it is nice to have a little bit just not doing nothing, basically making money while you sleep, right? So things like that. And I enjoyed designing them. So it's almost not like work when I'm doing it, because when I'm designing them, I design them in a way, or designs that I would wear that I think are cool. And so that's just one example. I mean, hopefully you can find something you'd like to do and turn it into a stream of income, right? Doing a YouTube channel, putting out a financial blog. Does anyone read blogs anymore? Probably not. It's mostly video content. Let's go to a couple other people here just to talk about life, the cost of living. And I wanted to focus on younger people today. And by the way, that last person we heard from was the silent quitter. The silent quitter. The silent quitting was a term that was thrown around a few years ago for people that kind of just stopped trying at their job. So silently quitting. They're still there. They're still getting a paycheck, but they just stopped. They just stopped trying. They stopped trying to perform to the highest level. They're just barely scraping by, or barely doing just enough to keep their job. I think that was the term. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that was the term that was thrown around a few years ago. All right, so here's a young person. Let's listen to what he's talking about here. Cost of living, rising over time.
I see the people. If you want to be successful, you need at least 5 sources of income. Bro, I just want to live. I just want to live. I don't even know if
Crazy. I didn't watch this video first. This is what I was just talking about.
I want to do that. No, I'm joking. But
He says he doesn't want to live. Then he says sometimes he doesn't want to do that.
it's crazy
Hopefully he's
that a
joking.
house used to be able to live off of one income. Used to be able to feed the kids, pay the bills, and even go on vacation sometimes off of one income. And
Sorry, just had to zoom in a little bit here.
now that's a pipe dream. Now it takes 2 parents working 40 hours a week each, and that's just to pay off this month's bills. That's not even next month's bills. Also, keep in mind, it takes most people 30 years to pay off a house. A thing we need to live. 30 years. Please don't explain to me how the system works. I understand. But I'm asking, is this how we really want to do this?
No, it's not.
There are certainly other ways to do this.
Yes, there are. We talk about them here in this channel all the time.
Ones that haven't even been invented yet, that we haven't even thought of. But we're just sticking with this, I guess. I don't think humans are this dumb.
We're sticking with this because it benefits the people that are making us stick with this. The people that are making the decisions and how things are run, they're the ones getting really, really rich. So I think he probably knows it.
I think we're starting to realize that maybe this isn't the way we should be doing things. And I think we're going to figure something out soon, and a big change is going to happen. It's important I add this, though. Our expectations of life have gone larger. Most houses back then only had one car, one family car, 1 to 2, and the whole family used it.
Yeah, that's because you didn't need multiple people having to drive to work. Now, instead of paycheck to paycheck, it's paycheck to paychecks with an S, plural, because you need 2 incomes just to pay basic bills, and sometimes that's even just being able to pay the rent. That's crazy.
Nowadays, there's a car per family member, it seems like. Also, rooms. Kids always shared rooms back then. The houses were much, much smaller.
I had my own room.
But nowadays, most likely every kid has their own room, or at least you try to have that. Houses had one phone. They weren't paying a Wi-Fi bill or anything, or subscriptions or anything like that. And most houses didn't even have TV. And if they did have TV, they only had one, and everyone had to...
Wow, how far back is he going? Most houses didn't have TVs. This is Dr. Bangg, Dr. Bang. That's his screen name.
Jared. However, there are 3 key factors to society that have gone up at insane rates over the past 50 years.
Oh, he's going back to 1950, no wonder. 326% increase since 1950 for homes. Sound about right. College tuition, 383%. Health spending, wow, yeah, 650% increase. Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. Especially if you live in the suburbs, you can't really walk or ride your bike. Sometimes there's not even sidewalks because the places are dominated with roads that are made for cars. Not only this, phones, the internet, emails, websites, that's what all businesses run on now. And you got to be on it to work with it. So you need that. And it's also unrealistic to have one family share a car because we all got to go to work. We can't.
Yeah, my high-speed internet's it's business speed, right? Because I do a bunch of different stuff from home. So it's business speed. It's like the highest you can get. And it's like 140 something a month now just for internet.
All be carpooling because we work at different times and all this stuff. Like the families only had one car because only one parent really needed it all the time. It's tough, man. We're in a tough situation.
My parents had 2 cars, but I get what he's saying. He's going like all the way back. I think he's doing a deep dive back to the 1950s and 60s is what it sounds like. But pretty interesting. I mean, the young people right now have it the hardest. And if that statistic, the one that we looked at the beginning, if that stat is true, that 3% of people under 30 have mortgages, and then maybe a few percentage, maybe 2 or 3% don't have a mortgage because maybe they inherited a house or they got rich quick and paid it off, whatever the case is, it's still a very abysmal statistic there. 3% of people under 30 owning a home. All right, let's hear from somebody else here talking about wages not keeping up with inflation. Absolutely, something we've talked about many, many times here.
So, yeah, it's inflation that. Inflation's too high. You want to know why in the past a lot of people didn't complain about inflation as much? It's because they have these things called cost of living raises, where outside of your own, merit in the job, you got a raise based on roughly what inflation was year to year. It's almost like the inflation isn't the problem as much as wages are the problem. It's almost like if you just gave people raises about the same as inflation, it really wouldn't be the issue, would it? That's a practice that's like long disappeared since the early 2000s. So, yeah, it's sick. Inflation this, inflation that.
All right, so he's basically coming out and saying that inflation's not worse, or the cost of living is not worse than it used to be. He's saying that the problem is paychecks just aren't increasing.
You want to know why in the past a lot of people...
Sorry. Let me escape from that screen here. He's basically saying that it's all about the wages not increasing. I beg to differ on that. I disagree with that. I think that, yes, wages aren't keeping up with inflation, but inflation and the cost of living is definitely worse. It's not just about wages not keeping up. But it's true, though, what he's saying. I mean, companies want to make as much profit as possible. You see a lot of the population now working for a publicly traded company. That's a company that issues stock, so therefore they're publicly traded. You can buy their stock. And of course, once that happens, it's all about the bottom line. It's not about the culture anymore. It's all about the bottom line, how much you make, and you pay as little as possible to get the earnings as high as possible to please your shareholders, right? So that's why we've got to invest in stocks, folks, because that's the name of the game right now. Companies making as much as possible and paying people as little as possible. So what do you think about this report, folks? These people talking about the cost of living. Were they right? Were they wrong? Do you disagree? Do you agree? And what do you have to add to it? Please let me know down in the comments, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hope you're surviving, and not just surviving, but actually thriving. All right, everybody. Peace, big love. Bye for now. Talk to you soon. Bye. Oh, keep stacking. Keep stacking. Bye.